What's up guys, Austin here, yet again for another top 5 video. And since the new James Bond film Skyfall is coming out, we're here gathered just to introduce everybody, APizzle90 and Mariofire. We are here to give you our top 5 favorite James Bond films. Well, I only have a few. So let's get started.
My name is Bond, James Bond.
My number 5, Diamonds Are Forever. This is Sean Connery's last Bond film, and what better way to go out with a bang than by taking it to his greatest enemy, Ernst Stavro Blofeld, which is one of my favorite villains of all time. It's based in Las Vegas. You got something to do with a satellite, and he's got to take it down, and it's awesome. Plus you got like 2 women henchmen. You got Bambi and Thumper. You got a white... It's hilarious. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You ever seen you saw it, Austin, remember?
It's been a while.
James Bond puts them in a pool and he drowns them to force them to submit.
I remember that. That
was
hilarious.
Funny. That was funny.
Funny.
Lots of action, lots of hand-to-hand combat. It's a great movie.
My number 5 goes to Live and Let Die. I think it was either Sean Connery or Roger Moore.
Roger Moore's first.
Yeah, it was Roger Moore's first, in my opinion, his only good one. I love this one mostly for Baron Samedi, the voodoo dude, because he creeped me the f out the first time I saw it. The theme song, Live and Let Die.
Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney. And Wings. You cannot go wrong with that. I love the graveyard scene when Bond's fighting off Baron. It's really quite suspenseful.
And plus the whole scene with the crocodile.
Oh, that.
Or the alligator, whatever it was.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Okay, well, since I couldn't think of 5 of the greatest Bond films, because I didn't see all of them, I've only seen a few, so I can't really come up with a list, but I can give you some of my favorites.
That's fine.
Okay. The World Is Not Enough.
Oh.
Is something that I should mention. I played the video game when it first came out, and then I paid to see the movie. The bank scene at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah, with the boat, with the submarine. The little boat?
Yeah, with him getting on the boat and then he goes out the window and he just walks briskly afterwards like, you just killed a bunch of people in the bank. The bad guys breaking into MI6.
Oh,
yes. Like, that was a big one. Because I like that. And Renal, the guy that got a bullet in his head.
Yeah, it was stuck in his head. It was
stuck in his head. He was going to die, but it was almost like he was... I can't remember if there was the game or the movie itself where it's like he was invincible. Like you
I think it was the
him.
movie.
Yeah.
It was both. Number 4 for me is License to Kill.
Is that one with Timothy Dalton?
That's Timothy Dalton's second and last James Bond movie. The very first Bond movie to have a PG-13 rating. It was lots of action. It took place in the Florida Keys, so I'm Floridian. Miami Dolphins, number 1. But that has nothing to do with it. The scene at the end with, the whole chase scene between James Bond and Sanchez on the gas truck.
Oh,
remember that? Where it flips over.
Oh, yeah.
He shoots him, or no, he lights him on fire. Actually.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was pretty.
That was truly amazing.
My number 4 goes to Goldfinger. This was one of the Sean Connery ones and one of his best ones. It has one of the most well-known villains in the whole Bond franchise. Goldfinger. One of the coolest parts of the entire thing was when Bond walks back into the room, I think, after going to the bathroom, and he finds his lover just painting gold because she suffocated from paint, which I thought was really interesting. I love the entire final fight when they were, I think, in Fort Knox, I believe, and he was just trying to get all the gold out, but Oddjob has to be there, throwing his hat, that little cheater. And
yes, throws their shoe, honestly.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember the name of this Bond movie, but I specifically remember that the villain cloned himself. The villain comes out and introduces Bond, and then all of a sudden you see his clone walk in, and then the villain kills the clone.
I think that was Diamonds Are Forever. Yep.
Yep, that's the one I was thinking. I love
Mr. Wit and Mr. Kid.
Yeah.
My number 3 is The Spy Who Loved Me. Roger Moore's third film as James Bond, in my opinion, his best. The first appearance of Jaws, the dude with the silver teeth.
Yes.
The great collie of James Bond.
What?
He was tall, he was badass. The big octopus thing underwater, the submarine.
That. Oh yes, I remember that. Yes.
That was truly incredible. And plus the fight scene between James Bond and Jaws in Egypt was pretty spectacular.
My number 3 goes to GoldenEye, which was the first Pierce Brosnan James Bond film, one of the more darker reboots of the franchise. Pierce Brosnan will always be known as my third favorite James Bond. To this day, I love him a lot in this role. And it was directed by Martin Campbell, who also did Casino Royale, which I will mention later. This film was truly just spectacular from the moment it starts. 007, along with Alec Trevelyan, played by Sean Bean, 006, they're best friends at first, but all of a sudden there's like a
betrayal.
Yeah, pretty much like that. The whole train sequence when they're trying to find Boris's location with Natalia is so just awesome, and like when he's trying to, all the gadgets are really awesome. Yeah, the laser watch, yeah, that was awesome. And the final fight scene at the you're seeing two best friends, now rivals, going against each other, and it just spans across this entire landmass. And
fall that was.
Yeah, I know, right? Like
he survived.
Yeah, he's
for like a few seconds
until he gets crushed by a satellite. And Pierce Brosnan, it was his best Bond film, in my opinion, I believe. And Martin Campbell did an excellent job of directing the film.
Okay, speaking of GoldenEye, that's what I was going to talk about now. There are some things that I loved about this movie, considering the fact that it was the first Bond movie I ever watched.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was. Specifically remember the poker game between him and Xena.
Oh, yeah.
Xena on top.
Yeah, one of the funniest moments. It was like, Madsen loses. And then later he meets her again in the sauna.
I remember that.
And they fight in the sauna, and then, funny. He burns her, and it's like, now take me to the statue. Just Xena in general.
She was hot.
Yeah, that was something. We always wanted to play as her, as in the GoldenEye video game.
God.
Jeff actually nicknamed her Cupcake. That's how much he liked. That's how much he liked her.
Cupcake.
Yeah.
My number 2 is GoldenEye. Do I really need to explain why? You guys pretty much just did, but I will mention one thing: the video game. That was the best first-person shooter of all time.
And the best James Bond game ever created.
Best James Bond game
just
ever
didn't
created.
age well.
Yes, it has.
It's still fun to play.
People still play it to this day.
My friends and I don't play it anymore.
Well, that's just two of your friends.
Yeah, I know, but they're big first-person shooter guys.
Well, and plus the N64's controls aren't really meant for first-person shooters, so.
But it made it work. The satellite, when it explodes for the first time,
yeah, that
was
awesome.
Truly unbelievable. How she survived, I'll never know. Like hiding under that tight space under the stairs.
Number 2 goes to the real reboot of the series, Casino Royale. This was Daniel Craig's first appearance as Bond. Now, I can remember way before it was released, there was a huge boycott petition to make sure that he would not appear because he was blonde or something, and that he didn't fit in Fleming's personification of the character. He didn't fit it, but apparently they were fine because Daniel Craig pulled off that role.
Really good job.
He did amazing.
He did it perfectly. It was darker, he was more cruel, he was more cold, more savage, less sex obsessed like the other ones were, although
there's much in it in Quantum of Solace.
Oh my god. Again, directed by Martin Campbell, who did GoldenEye, did this one. The construction chase scene goes down one of my favorite chase scenes of all time in film. It just looks, you just have to wonder how the hell can a guy so acrobatic even do all that shit for the stunts. It's insane. It was a very, very well done Bond film. Daniel Craig is becoming one of my favorite Bonds. He's my second favorite Bond. Next is Sean Connery.
This is From Russia with Love. The very second Bond movie, and the very first He's getting it right now.
Oh, Jesus.
He actually has the video game version, which Sean Connery actually did the voice of. But I'm not talking about the game, I'm talking about the actual movie. And the one thing I liked about this, it was not the most action-packed, but that's the beauty of it. It wasn't as nearly as action-packed as the later ones. It didn't have to be. The train sequence where they're on the train and they meet the villains and they just has them at gunpoint and it's just them talking was action enough to make you really enjoy this movie. And that was the one movie that I distinctly remember the Bond theme because they always kept playing it during the
cutscenes.
Yeah, cutscenes.
Yeah.
It's still one of my favorites. And in fact, because I remember back in, what was it, back when On Demand was popular, like Comcast On Demand, they had all the Bond movies
I think they did once in a while.
Yeah, this was back 2 years ago, and that was the very first one I watched on there. And I enjoyed it to the utmost. And I never played the game. How is it?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Could have been a lot better.
Number 1! Goldfinger. I love it. I love Goldfinger. It's just the personification of James Bond. Sean Connery played this role so well in this movie. I mean, from beginning to end, you knew this was a James Bond movie. Plus you got Oddjob and Goldfinger, two of the best villains in film history. Some of the best dialogue in film history too. Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die! The opening scene too. He blows up the building and then fights with a guy and throws a fan.
Oh,
a fan into the bathtub.
I remember that.
Yeah.
It looked pretty painful.
Yeah, that did. My number 1.
My number 1 favorite James Bond film goes to the very first James Bond film, marking Sean Connery's very first appearance as James Bond, Dr. No. Now, you guys may find that very surprising. With James Bond, nothing ever beats the original film. I've come to learn that through every single franchise that's ever come out, maybe for the exception of Harry Potter. With James Bond, it's Dr. No. It's Sean Connery, for God's sakes. Sean Connery is the best James Bond ever. Not Roger Moore, not Timothy Dalton, who I believe is the worst Bond, by the way.
Disagree.
Not Daniel Craig, even though I think with Skyfall he just might surpass Sean Connery. He just might.
See.
What about George Lesbian?
I didn't see George Lazenby for Our Majesty's Secret Service. Dr. No is just a classic Bond villain, especially when you see that one little trap that he has him in, when he has the little laser going up towards him. That was suspenseful, if you ask me. And the first Bond girl I thought was actually pretty damn
the hottest
sexy.
one of the bunch.
Just look at the cover.
She was pretty damn sexy, if you ask me.
I mean, she's coming out of the water with the knife on her bikini.
Don't get me thinking about that, please.
Yeah,
Epic!
We already did one load of laundry today.
Don't need to do another. Dr. No is just the classic Bond film. In my opinion, will never be beat. Maybe by Skyfall. It might. But still, Dr. No stands this day as my favorite James Bond film. Sean Connery, the best Bond. I will say it again. He is just phenomenal as Bond. Daniel Craig is close to second. But yet, Dr. No will always stand in my heart as the best Bond film I've ever seen.
And to close it all off, I am going to do something that I usually don't do with reviews. We don't have somebody here that wanted to be a part of this, but his number 1 was something that I think we should mention because I think it was hilarious. I'm gonna get my Kyle Swank impression here if I can. I can't do impressions of people. Number 1 of the best Bond film simply because it is the title, and if you're a guy, you should appreciate the title. Number 1, Octopussy.
Kyle Swank's number 1's Octopussy.
Kyle Swank's number 1, and I had to put it there because he couldn't be here and I thought it was hilarious. But just the title alone, that specifies the greatest Bond movie. Just because, like I said, the title. And if you're a guy, you can appreciate it.
Yes.
That's because it's pussy.
That just defeats every single thing. Then again, this is not my opinion.
No, this is all Kyle's.
That's a front.
But it's funny. But if I had to do a number 1, I think it would have to go to... I'm trying to think of the name of it. Forget it. I can't remember it. I can't remember. Just cut it off with the Octopussy thing. I think that's a good closer.
Alright.
Oh God, Michael Bay directed a Bond film.
No.
Imagine if that happened.
Michael
Bay directing a Bond film. That would be, if that was happen, that would be a shit thing right there.
And for what I've heard, Christopher Nolan might be directing this.
That's what I'm saying.
Michael Bay, you're the one.
Oh my god.
But from what I've heard that Christopher Nolan might be directing the next Bond film.
Oh wow.
After
Should be
Skyfall.
interesting.
That, I mean, just think about that. What he did with Dark Knight, with the Batman trilogy.
Nerdgasm.
If he remade Doctor No, that would be something.
So that was our top 5 favorite James Bond films, and along with Mariofire's favorites. Comment down, let us know below of what your favorite James Bond films are. If you're excited to see Skyfall, who isn't? And we shall see you guys in the next top 5.
Subscribe.
James Bond is back in action. Everything he touches turns to excitement. I'm looking at the poster over there.
Do it. Do it. Do it.